Be judged from within.
All right, welcome back to At the Round Table with Mamley. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, and we are in studio. And I say we is my brother from another. The doctor is in the house. Dr. Bradley, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm blessed and highly favored by the Lord. This is a day that the Lord has given us. I hope to walk in this day with love and understanding. And I know hard times I'm going to face, but I'm walking in the Lord's grace, so I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
As God is good all the time. We want to thank our sponsor, Guarantee Rate Mortgage Company. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Coral Holbrook a call at area code 781-342-0252. Guaranteed Mortgage is located at 75 State Street in downtown Boston, Mass. Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Company, guaranteed to exceed your expectations. You know, Dr. Bradley, that hour went by so quick.
Yes, it did.
We're waiting for our guests to call in about the event at Salem United. But I got to tell you, I'm really concerned with the lack of participation, the lack of attention in our communities that folks are paying to what's happening, like the insurrection and all that. This was in plain view. Mm-hmm. This stuff isn't even trying to be, they're not even trying to hide it. Mm-hmm. It's in your face. Mm-hmm. The governor down in Florida, he's not trying to hide it. Mm-hmm. It's in your face.
But in a large respect, though, in fairness to our community, we're so busy trying to make ends meet, we don't necessarily have the time, to think about this. You know, I talked to many people about listening to or watching the hearing, and they were like, "Man, I got to go to work tomorrow, doc." You know, I mean, I understand, but we have to make time out of our day to watch and become cognizant of and realize what's going on around us. Because what happened on January the 6th was an attempted coup.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And, most coups don't work the first time around. They work the second or third time around.
You can watch it as a spectator, or you can watch it as a participant, right? And guess what? The outcome is not going to be pretty if you're a spectator in this and not participating in it. So that said, I think that's our guests on the line. Is that Dorian? Is that you? Doreen, is that you?
Yes, it is. Good morning.
Good morning. It's been too long since we've heard from you. Good morning. Dorian Wade is the president of the Salem United, and there's a huge event coming up there at Salem Willow Park. We talked about a little bit in our 7 o'clock hour. Saturday, July 16, 2022, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Salem Willows Park, 165 Fort Ave, Salem, Mass. 01970. Salem United presents the Negro Election Day celebration, a 282nd annual festival. Come out and celebrate. Register to vote because you could not. Negro Election Day, King, Queen, and Grand Marshal family gathering and fun. Dorian, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning, and hopefully enlightening and educating our folks here of what this most important event is and how it got started and how it was established. And Dr. Bradley here, who is my co-host and my brother, he's a history buff, and I'm not sure how much he knows of this. I know you've been on the broadcast before. He's been with me since the beginning, so it's been a while.
I do remember, Doreen, and no, I'm have to say that I don't know much about it, so I'm breathless with anticipation because I like to enhance my knowledge around different movements around voting, because I think that's where everything starts. So by all means, educate me, sister.
Well, Mamleo, Mamleo will definitely be represented there. I will be there personally myself, and we're going to get some of our young folks. We're now commandeering some of our vans from the police department here. We've already allocated.
I love this idea, Larry. Yeah. I think there's two components to it, and I think she's going to educate us on it. One is to get the people to register, and another one is to actually get them to the polls.
And that's why I want to get our young people so they get involved early on with the importance of something like this. So, Dorian, give us a little history lesson, and then we'll fast forward it to what's going to be taking place on July 16th.
Okay, well, let me just say as well, I have been going, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but just say I'm up there.
No.
And I have actually been going to this event since, let's say, before I was born.
Well, it says it's 282nd, so we'll...
Yes, and my family has been going for centuries. However, I want to say as well, I did not know the history.
Okay.
Many people know this event as Salem Willow's Black Picnic.
Oh, okay.
So what I
aware of
wanted to do over COVID, the 2 years that we couldn't have any events happening there, what I wanted to do is I wanted to understand, why do I go the third Saturday in July? And in digging some more in basements of libraries, in newspaper companies, in their basement. And I'm saying basement because, and I'll tell you why I'm saying basement in a minute. But what basically happened is, in all the research to document everything that I found, it started to revolve around voting. And I couldn't understand. We're talking, when I first started, I got to 1858. And I'm seeing Negro Election Day. And I'm saying to myself, what is this? What is this really? So I went all the way back to 1741, and I found an enslaved African named Pompey. And apparently, he was determined that he was not going to allow the people that were in the North Shore or the people who were in Boston. He wasn't going to allow people in Massachusetts to be treated like this. So somehow he convinced these white men into agreeing to allow him to have a black self-governing system. So in being a prince in Africa and being ripped out of his country and came here, and he knew many of the Africans, and because he was skilled, he was taught how to make clothes, he was educated, he went everywhere with this white man, he started learning how white people governed. And so he took that back to a few of his other Africans that were of royal blood, and they got to talking. And they as well convinced white men to allow them to have this black voting system. So they held elections. Of course, the elections that I'm talking about, they didn't go into a room and put a ballot in a ballot box. This was all done by a raise of hands by people who were in their area. And he won. And he called himself Black King because, of course, his royal blood, he wanted that name. Some other years later, they called themselves Black Governor. But he called himself the Black King. So this went on, and it was actually celebrated in Lynn, Saugus, Marblehead, Boston, and I'm now realizing that in Boston, a lot of this was done by Prince Hall. So any Masons out there have a connection to this history.
Wow. And
they actually governed. They really did. They made laws, and the governor, who was, I think it was Winthrop is his name, he allowed this. And so what they did over the years, moving from the 1700s and the 1800s, they tried to stop this history. So I actually have a petition from 1858 that says we must stop Negro Election Day. Now,
wow.
If I could take a moment and
take
educate
your time,
everybody.
because we're enjoying this. Take your time.
Why? Okay, so when I started doing all this, I wanted it to be documented as its original name, Negro Election. Many people had problems with the word picnic. I did not have problems with the word picnic until I started educating myself. So I accepted the fact that we need to take that name away. That name has nothing to do with what that history is. So I got a little feedback because of the word Negro. So Pompey came from West Africa, Ghana. In West Africa, there is a location that is called Negro land. When these people were stripped and stolen and robbed of their right to rule in their country, he took that Negro land word and name as an honor. So when he came here and started this black voting system, he used Negro because that was the land he was taken from. So when I'm trying to educate people, they think that Negro is a bad word. First off, I try to tell people it's not. People died to be called Negro in the 50s because we know what they were called. And they were also called boy. It is a way to strip you of your manhood, your womanhood. So they used, later on in the years, they took the word Negro and made it negative because they knew the value of that word.
Wow.
So I took and put it right back to what it was called. So I'll pause a minute because I'm sure somebody has questions.
We do. But you're listening to At the Round Table with Manuel. On the line here is Dorian Wade. She's the president of Salem United. The Negro Election Day celebration that's going to be taking place July 16th at Salem Willows Park at 160 Fort Ave in Salem, Mass. I mean, she's just, if you want to get in, have any questions, or if you want to participate, give us a call here at 617-282-0685, 617-282-0685. You know, Dr. Bradley, she just unpacked quite a bit here of the formulation of the word Negro, that it was a land there, and that it was how it was turned into a negative connotation, and we run with it. And you know, the irony is that we call ourselves sometimes things worse than that, and we use it as terms of endearment. Yeah. So I want to thank you because I'm sitting here in awe with the history lesson as well. But even more, Dorian, when I think about what you just explained to us about 1741, those dates, Pompeii, 1858, and I look at today and how we don't value voting, we don't value what people had to go through. This was not an easy task to be able, like I said, they had to try to get permission for people, the black people, to vote, and yet we have a right and we don't use it.
Why?
No.
That would be the question. Why do we not?
Yeah.
Why are we so reluctant to use that voting power?
Right. And I guess, you know, question from us is, in getting your opinion, is how have we lost our way? Dorian.
I think we've lost our way because most people, when I talk about this history, most people say, well, that was then, but now it doesn't mean anything because, you know, when we vote, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change things. Well, that's what I'm trying to use this history to do, is to try to show people, yes, it does mean something. They fought to vote. And then they masked this history so that we would never know the value of our vote. And if we're not taught and educated the value of our vote, then we're not going to really understand what voting is.
Right. But to that point, Dorian, and Dr. Bradley was alluded to this in our 7 o'clock hour, is we're seeing so many obstacles. And if people don't think their votes matter and that they don't count, then if they're paying attention at the effort being put in to try to suppress it, should tell you everything you need to know of how, because look, we were discussing is that some of these states that they're really targeting, the numbers are so close and so minuscule like in Georgia, 1,700. Trump said, "I just need 1,728 votes somewhere in that neighborhood."
Yeah.
So if you can suppress just 2,000 black votes, because that's what he's going after, right? Then the job is so that here in Boston, we were talking. We had a city council race that there was a recount, and it was decided by one vote.
Yeah.
One vote.
Yeah.
So the only vote
But-
that doesn't count is the one you don't cast. But to see the efforts going on around this country to suppress it should tell you
Yeah.
that your vote does count, and they don't want you to cast. That's the mindset they want you to be in.
Well, you can look
But
at
my question will be, are they really seeing it? I get angry because I have an adopted daughter in her 30s, and she does not watch the news, and neither does my granddaughter. So how are they being taught this? How do they know what's going on if they don't watch the news? They're getting better now because I'm always around now. But at the very beginning, no, they didn't understand because they don't watch the news.
Well, I think the other side of it is, I do agree with that. I think there's a lack of information. I think there's a lack of understanding of the power that we actually have in this nation as people, as black people. But I also think that we are living in a society of instantaneous response to whatever we request. And so let me just explain that. In a system like ours, when you're trying to make a change, the change is usually evolutionary as opposed to revolutionary. It usually takes time to make that change. So if I'm voting and I'm voting for a particular issue that I want a particular change, number one, I got to put enough people in place to actually exercise that. Because if I have one representative, then that one representative has one voice, has one vote. You know what I mean? So I got to put multiple representatives in to make the change. So a part of it, of our confusion, is a lack of knowledge about the system and how the system works. And so when we have that lack of knowledge, it's easy for the controlling party to breed confusion, to grow confusion within the masses, because the masses doesn't understand.
So let me ask you,
understand.
Dr. Bradley and Dorian, as well. You know, when I was growing up, civics was taught. They don't teach that anymore. You did hear more about the government, right? I'm not sure. I don't think that's even part of it now. It's more trying to get folks ready to take MCAS, you know. But I mean, not much. And in the history that is taught, really is not related to our history. What Dorian, we talk about here on the broad.
His history.
I like that.
His story.
Yeah, right.
Not my story. His story.
Yeah.
So how do we get? Because this is a beautiful event. It's going to take place on July 16th. But how do we get July 17th, July 18th, June 11th? How do we get this every day, Dorian and Dr. Bradley? How do we get this interjected into our folks? Not just.
Well, see, I think one of the things that we can do today I'm a 1956 baby, so I don't really understand this to the level that my grandson or my granddaughters would understand it. But I think social media is used against us every day.
Yeah.
Why don't we use social media to promulgate or perpetuate something like this?
Right.
We need to put it on the Instagrams and the Snap Faces and all those other things that these kids are doing. But that's one way we can educate. We can educate the young.
Right.
And she mentioned it in when she said that her daughter and her granddaughter very seldom watch the news. One of the other things that got me when I took my daughter to college, she says, "Dad, I don't need a TV. I got my computer." I was like, you know. So what I'm saying is things are changing. So
Right.
we have to go to where our young
We have
people
to meet
are
them where they are.
to educate them on these
Right.
on the history.
And the reason why I said that, and we're going to sneak this call in, Dorian, we have a call on the line, is that Juneteenth is coming up. And most people just see it as a time here in Boston to gather up in Franklin Park and have some barbecue.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Not understanding the significance.
But you know what? I wouldn't
Yeah.
have a problem with that, Larry, if we can gather at Franklin Park, have a barbecue, and register to vote. Gather at Franklin Park, have a barbecue, register to vote, and then teach our history.
Well, how about having a big screen up there with this
Hello?
history information,
Hello?
right? Having these presenters.
I'm all for that.
No, I know you are,
Yeah.
but I'm saying is that I guess how do we become part of that coordinated effort? Because even Mamleo, right? We are responsible as well for informing our community, and we are a voter registration site, and we haven't promoted it. We have a sign in the window, but we haven't really been
Yeah.
proactive
Yeah.
in doing so.
I think we have to be a grassroots effort to educate our people on the true history of America.
Okay.
We cannot have other people educate us. We got to educate ourselves.
They won't. With that said, Tony,
Yeah.
we're going to sneak this call in if you don't mind, if you're taking
Okay.
some from our callers. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table with Mamleo. And
Hello?
yes, we're here. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, sir, brother? Brother
Hey,
Siddiqui.
You know, I'm good. You know what I mean? Glad to be able to be on here. Every day counts.
All right, there we go.
Well, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, I just wanted to commend the sister in terms of her consistency. I sent a letter. I don't know if is she the director for the Salem Willows event? Because of the fact that
Yeah.
okay, because I sent a letter a few years ago requesting that the term picnic be taken down because
Yeah,
of
I
the
hear you.
implications of what it means.
Yes, I hear you. I'm going to go there.
And, you know, change the name maybe to a family celebration or something of that nature because of the fact that, you know, the bottom line is that some folks are saying it's a myth, but it's not a myth. That the bottom line is that back in the day with the segregation, what have you, that, you know, white folks would have celebrations, outdoor celebrations.
Yep.
And that's when the term picnic came up because they'd go out and say, let's pick a N-word to lynch.
Yep.
That's what they would do.
That's
And
true.
so we've been saying for quite some time they need to drop the term.
Yep.
But let me just, this whole thing about the vote and black people being apathetic about the vote. Let me just say this. I went to a black college, West Virginia State. I was a youngster down there in the civil rights space, and we were told essentially that the vote was the path to power. Now, understand now, I'm not knocking the issue around vote. Folks should be voting. So what has evolved through the years is that across the country, we have 15 to 20,000 elected officials, black officials, including the legislative black caucus that does nothing. And so what it is that when folks talk about apathy among black folks about the vote, it's not about apathy. Black folk, then, you know, we observe what's going on. And so here we are in 2022 with all these elected officials, and we're in worse shape now than we have been in a long time.
Right.
Now let's look.
Right. So let me
When-
just jump in there for a
Barack
second,
Obama got elected,
Siddiqui. Let me just jump in there for a second and I'll let you finish what you're saying because I know where you're going with this, and you're partially right. But here I don't blame those elected officials, and people are probably saying, "What do you mean they're not doing?" We don't vote them out, right? We vote them in, and if they're not doing what we want them to do or what they're supposed to do on our behalf, we don't hold them accountable at the ballot box. We just go away. So if you give me a job and you're not holding me accountable, I don't have to produce anything, and you're going to pay me to do nothing, most people are going to take that offer. They're going to do nothing. So we have a role to play in correcting it when they're not representing us.
Once again, I'm not knocking the vote.
No. This is not about knocking the vote. I'm saying is that to your point about these, we have all these elected officials of color, black, and they're not doing anything. I agree wholeheartedly. I see it here. But when we do find people who have our best interests, a lot of times we can't get them elected.
Well, let me just say that. I'm just looking at the bigger picture, and what I'm saying is like when Barack Obama got elected, I got criticized because in my blog I was saying, look, he's not about doing anything for black people. So after 8 years, he even made a statement, I'm not going to do anything for black people. It's specific. So after 8 years, black people acknowledged the fact, you know what, that nothing came out of his 8 years in office for black people. And it was no surprise. Then you have a whole thing around Joe Biden oh, we got to get him elected. And of course, look, Trump's a fool. We know that. But I'm saying the bottom line is that what's the end result?
What tipped you
Joe
off?
Biden right now in terms of anything for black people. So what it is that black people came out in droves to see to it that in terms of electoral vote, eventually that he got elected. So all I'm saying is that I'm not saying to folks not to vote. I'm just saying that I think that it's incorrect to say that black people are apathetic about the vote and what are we going to do to get them there. And so I applaud folks who say you need to vote. But the reality is that when we look at where we are today and the amount of elected officials that we have and our condition, that's the reason why folks are saying, you know what, why should I vote?
Right,
I mean, it doesn't produce anything.
Right. Okay, Siddiqui, stand by for a second because I want Doreen to address, because I think she did, and I'm not sure if you heard it, when you talked about the letter you sent to her regarding the picnic word.
Yeah.
And that she did do something about that. Doreen, you want to tell Siddiqui what?
I would be very happy to. It may have taken me 3 years, but I worked very hard to get the word picnic out. It took me educating myself to what picnic meant, which is why I took it out. And then after learning what it was, then I put it back to its original name. I get attacked either way, so I've come to realize that I just have to do what I have to do, and when I first, and I think I remember your letter because I've been doing this for 5 years. When I first decided that it shouldn't be called Black Picnic, the first thing I said was, well, the history of what the word means is ignorant. So why are we honoring something, a legacy that is revolved around lynching? And then the second reason why I got rid of the word picnic is because it wasn't representing what the day is. So just so that everybody knows, I do voter registration. Sometimes we have the Urban League, and then now this year we have the League of Women Voters supporting us, so they're going to be there doing registration. I fight very hard for voting. As I heard someone say, I'm a 1950s baby, so am I. And I had to go through an awful lot. I grew up in Cambridge, but people don't understand that back in those days, it didn't matter where you lived.
Right.
You weren't educated. You weren't educated properly of Black history. And I went to a Catholic school, so I got less Black history than probably everybody right here, right now.
Well, so did I. So I know what you mean.
I had to teach myself. And in teaching myself, I watched people who were beat down just to vote.
Right.
But on the other end, I am going to say that I agree with him. I agree with him very much, because in doing this history and fighting to get this history recognized, I don't have one Black leader coming to my event on the 16th.
Wow.
I did not get one Black leader to support me. I can't even get a Black leader to pick up the phone and call me back when I leave a message. I can't even talk to the Massachusetts Black and Latino Caucus because they don't give me the opportunity. Because why? I'm not going to get them recognized on TV or in the newspaper. So my cause means absolutely nothing. And Larry knows this. I fought very hard over these years to have Black representation in my parade.
But not only fought hard, you've gone above and beyond in reaching out, and that's why when our current president of Male Meal, I participated in several of them when I was president of Male Meal. Our current president, Dr. Jeffrey Lopes, saw the email, and he called me and asked me about it, and I said, look, I will take the lead on this one personally. More than happy to. Was delighted to be the person representing Mamleo on behalf of our leadership to work with you to get our folks out there as well. And also, I'm receiving some text messages, and one of the founders of this station, it says that they'd be happy to give you a free promo, and they'll continue to play this on the broadcast here if you're willing to come in and do that here in the station, and then they'll send it out on all the other broadcasts that go on here. So they want to do their part to help promote what's going on for you on July 16th. So
thank you.
If you want to,
and I appreciate that, and I will accept every helping hand that comes to me. So I will drive up there. You just tell me when. And I'll tell you one other story.
Okay.
If I have a little bit of time.
Sure, Doreen. 1 second. Just want to get this comment for you so you can respond to it. That because they're coming in the social media. This is what we have to do: is we have to blitz the networks and all this multitask, and reach people where they are. So go ahead.
So this is from Ibina, who's calling from Australia.
Okay.
And she said, picnic origin, mid-18th century, denoting a social event where each guest contributes to share the food from, I'm sorry, bear with me here. So she said, where each guest contributes to food, and this is from the French peep, unique origin.
Okay. So different interpretation, but for
that's
for
not
black people.
That's how it was. It was not used that way in the South for the origin in France is one piece, but the way that it was used in the South is exactly how Siddiqui actually put it out there. It was one of the words used to identify, we're going to pick this particular individual who's of color, this N-word, and we're going to bring all our food together to eat while we lynch this individual, and we're going to be entertained by this lynching. Wow. That's the origin for America.
So, Siddiqui, hold on. Doreen, you were saying, because I want to bring Siddiqui back in after you.
Sure. I have built an exhibit, and I'm traveling with it. Okay. And part of the exhibit is I met a gentleman from Kentucky, and he has a Jim Crow museum. And he actually helped me make an exhibit which explains why I do not use the word picnic and why it should not be called Black Picnic. So that actually is part of my teaching that I am doing.
Okay. 617-282-0685, 617-282-0685. You're listening to At the Round Table with Mamleo. On the line is Doreen Wade. She is the founder, the president of the Salem United. With the Negro Election Day celebration is going to take place July 16th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Salem Willow Park, 164th Ave, Salem, Mass. You know, Doreen, that's the day that Mamleo usually does its broadcast. I'm going to talk to Pastor Walden and see if maybe we can do a live broadcast from there of our show, because we're usually on the air at 8 a.m. So I'd love to be able to maybe do an hour or two from there, and having folks getting the feel and the sounds and the smells of this actually taking place there while it's going on. So we're going to see if maybe
I'm very happy with that. Yes, I have no problem with allowing that to happen.
Okay. All right. And we have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I had to make a comment, and I'm still a person who still believes in democracy. But the problem that we as black people have then and now, minus holding us, the politicians accountable, is not having a vetting process for these candidates, these so-called black candidates, that when they come up to us, wanting our vote, we don't ask, what are you going to do specifically for black people? Because this past Sunday, I went to the Deutsche Day Parade, and I met Representative for District 4, Brian, I can't pronounce his last name correctly, so I'm going to call by his first
Brian
name.
Worrell?
Yes. I asked him directly, what are you going to do or have a policy aimed towards black people for District 4? I got the worst one-on-one answer from a politician so far. He said, no, well, you see, the people of District 4 represented me, which includes Asian Americans, white people, and Hispanic Americans. I can't help black people. I got to help everybody in my entire district. And I wanted to just blow my top off because I asked him a simple, direct question. It had nothing to do with the other minorities.
Right, you were asking what was specifically, Jermaine, what impacted you, and you wanted to know what he was going to do for you, and you said he, pivoted to a non-answer.
In other words, you don't matter.
and what I'm going to do. So also, we're looking for support in Mamlio's participation on the July 16th to go out to help make this a success, the Negro Election Day celebration. Is it something that you'd be interested in coming with Mamlio to support, Doreen and others?
Well, I need a little bit more information, no?
Sure. Okay, we'll put it on the. Doreen, good. That's your evidence. So what do people should they expect at this day?
So
and what
the day consists of? We have collaborated with a woman in New Jersey, and her father is one of the designers of the Black American Heritage Flag of 1967. We have collaborated with her, so that flag represents our day. So we have a flag raising at 9 o'clock. We have entertainment through the whole day. We have vendors that are there that uplift, educate, and inform and help. We have a parade at 12 o'clock, and people are allowed on that day to bring grills and cook in Salem Willows Park. Probably one of the few days that people come from all over and actually cook in the park.
I can tell you I've attended these personally on behalf of Mamlio, and it is quite an event, not just the food, but the chemistry, the socializing, the history. I intend to bring both my young daughters to this event with me because I want them at their young age to get the flavor of this and the importance of this, but the history of it as well. Because
we also acknowledge people with awards. So this year I am giving an award to a young, I say black, I don't say African American, I'm sorry, young black girl in high school. And she actually stood up for me in a meeting in City Hall, 14 years old. And she ripped all these politicians for harassing me. So we are giving her an award, and we're making sure that she reaches her civic engagement at the end of her high school year. She's going to be I'm going to be mentoring her personally. And then we're giving it to a Latino woman who started the Massachusetts Business Latin Organization. And she helps business. She just happens to be Latino, but she actually helped everybody because she's opened up her heart, and she's helping my 501c3 organization get funding and get help. So that is basically our whole day.
Okay. So, Siddiqui, before we let you go, any closing comment?
Yeah, but look, I just want to offer some clarity here because I heard the sister say something to the effect that given the implication that what she's doing is not important. It is important what she's doing because of the fact that we need to have as many positive activities going on as possible, including around the vote. And, look, I'm part of the Salem Willows alumni. I remember going there when I was a child. It was a tradition for our family. So, it's a matter of our families coming together in a positive spirit, sharing ideas. And, the sister evidently has put in, the whole political component, which is important. So I don't want her to get the impression that what she's doing is not important. It is important because we see so many things out here that right, just in terms of like out there at Franklin Park, we had because with Juneteenth, and now that the white president has said it's okay, now you got black people coming out of the woodwork now celebrating Juneteenth, and so up at Franklin Park, I applaud the event up there. The only thing is that it didn't really espouse what the real meaning of Juneteenth was about. But any type of family event, like out there selling willows, take down the name Picnic, but then at the same time, I would hope that this sister and the folks who follow her will continue that tradition because it's such a positive event. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Well, can I say that I do have a board, and we meet every month, and I get opinions, and I have all kinds of people on my board so that I can make sure that it will never stop and it will exist, because before I took it over, the city was just getting ready to stop it. They were not going to allow us to come down there anymore. But they didn't meet me. So now they can't stop it because in another couple of weeks, the governor will be signing a bill into law that makes the third Saturday of July a state holiday. And I've been fighting that since 2018. And I finally got it done March of 2022.
So you keep up the good work, sister. And I'll close with this. I remember when I was a child, there used to be a joke when someone asked somebody, well, how do you get there? And someone said something to the effect, just look for the chicken bones on the highway, and it'll take you right to it.
So is this that? So this is that guy that from 1741 you were talking about. He said, remember when he was a child? He's going back to 1741. Thank you, Mr. Pompey. Siddiqui, thank you, brother. Always appreciate you.
Be blessed.
Dick, any final words from you, sir? I mean, now that she's explained to you a little bit more about what this is, trying to help. See, our history should be no mystery, and trying to get people there so they can get this education and information in person is important. That's why we're trying to do all we can at Mamleo with the help and appreciation of our president. Like I said, he's given us a priority. He's passed it on to me, not because he doesn't get involved. He plans to attend himself, but he understands he wants someone that's familiar with it, working on it, to make sure that we have a success and a good showing. So we're looking not just as Mamleo members, but the community. Those are our partners as well. As it says on Dr. Bradley, working with the community. This is a big part of it. The part I enjoy more than the legal lawsuits we have to file and all
the time.
Right, exactly.
Gets to be represented.
Working with people like Dorian, it's a pleasure. So when he contacted me, I immediately reached out to her. So, Ditka, anything more you want to know about it, or is that?
Yes, the sister give me good information.
Okay. And there's a website you can go to as well. Let me give that to you. It's www.SalemUnitedInc. That's one word. SalemUnitedInc. One word. .org or SalemUnitedInc@gmail.com.
Got it.
All right, and let me know. Like I said, we'll even take you over. We're gonna commandeer the city's vehicles, and you can. There will be no petitions in the back. You can get out on your own.
Right.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Bye.
it. Right. So, Dorian, what else can we expect on this day? I've been there, but it sounds like this one's gonna has a this because we haven't been able to gather in quite some time. So I'm actually looking forward to this, but I'm also looking forward to experiencing it with my daughters, because I think it's important that that history is passed down.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I love this day. I love the day that I'm having it, but I also want to continue to educate. So that's why right now I'm fighting for a building.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a Black Heritage Center and museum. This history will be part of that museum, but I'm also going to be helping other artists of color show their work.
Yeah, and also because the lines are lit up here, so I'm gonna try to sneak in a couple more calls. But there's also from last time I was there was like a little amusement park arcade. So there's also some, and the view from the water there is just spectacular. Being able to look out there and be that close to the water, that a lot of our kids, even in the inner city here, don't get a chance to experience that type of scenery. So when I first pulled up, to me, I had never been out there prior to your invitation. Didn't even know it existed. Didn't even know this event existed. Just like with Juneteenth, I heard about it quite a bit, but didn't really understand it. And once it was explained to me, I understood the significance and the importance of making sure that we pass this on. And I know you have been doing yeoman's work and keep continuing this. And trust me, you brought us dragging, kicking and screaming, not kicking and screaming, but when we have to travel a little bit, we get out of our comfort zone. It takes a little bit more effort, but once you get there, it is worth the drive. And I know it's going to be a little inconvenience because they're going to be doing this construction on the on the Ted Williams, not Ted Williams, the Tobin, the Callahan Tunnel, I'm sorry, on the weekends for the next few weeks. So that's going to cause problems starting today. It's going to be shut down. So the only way to get over is through the Ted Williams or the Tobin Bridge. So. But let's sneak this other call in. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table. Caller, you there?
My doctor. How you doing? This is Cliff.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
I got a question. If the young lady could ask me this question. The word barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that came from? And the second question. I researched like the ice cream song on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and it shocked the living nightmare out of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's what we're running to?
Yeah.
That's what we're running to?
Mm.
So where did the word barbecue originate from?
That one I don't know.
I'm not. I have to research.
We'll have to look that one up
I
for
have
you.
to research that
But
one.
you know what? You bring up a very good point, because I drove down until I remember Minister Rodney X gave me this book. It was The Streets in Boston. Now, I was a police officer, still am. Drove down these streets, Dudley, Warren, all of these streets, and had no idea. I just thought they were names they came up with, right? And so when you talk about names have significance. And then once he handed this book to me and I read it, I realized I couldn't go down any street in the community without some slave owner's name on it. There was no way to get around it. And it was just amazing how ignorant of history I was. So
I don't want to say it's ignorant of history. I want to say that it's done in plain sight. I do not live in Salem, so many people ask me, why do I fight so hard? But I walked through the streets of Salem, and I never realized how many of those names are slave holders and slave owners.
yeah.
And now now I'm consciously looking through different cities
Right.
and towns and saying, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Exactly. We're questioning it more. And it's funny because the only thing I thought about Salem was the Salem witch hunt. That's people go there in October and get scared. I never knew that this event took place out there until I met up with you.
Oh, there's even more than that. There is so much black rich history in Salem that I'm unmasking to the point where I had an exhibit in a hall called Hamilton Hall. They have a story in there about a black family from the early 1800s.
Yeah.
They owned a business right in that hall.
Wow.
Later on, I found out they were my relatives.
Wow.
But you walk around Salem, and there's absolutely no recognition of it or anything else.
Yeah. And that's
So I am working with the National Park Service,
Yeah.
and I'm going to start going across the state of Massachusetts, and I'm going to start fighting to have landmarks so people know just what we have done in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, I mean, they just recently this week they had the rededication of the 54th monument, and down it, and how many people drive by there, and don't even know the significance of what those black men, did for this country, for the during the Civil War. Cliff, we'd love to have you with us when we go out there. We're gonna look up this barbecue,
Right.
and get trying to find a meaning for it. They said that we love to be challenged here. We'll try to find the definition of it. But the event taking place on July 16th, Mamleo is going to be going out. This will not be our first time, but we're going to be heading back out there to help support and get informed and participate in this day. We'd love to have you.
I love to be there because I'm an educator myself. I like to read. I like to know history. But I just wanted to know what the word barbecue meant because I was like, okay. When she was talking about picnic, I was like, okay, so what does the word barbecue mean,
Well, I think, Dorian, you see the fact that these are sparking conversations and interest in folks, and now, we'll be all driving around writing down and Googling.
Well, I just Googled it, and it says here the word barbecue comes from the language of a Caribbean Indian tribe called the Taino. The word for the grilling on a raised wooden grate is barbacoa. The word first appeared printed in the English Explorer account of the West Indies in 1526, according to the Planet Barbecue. That's my preliminary review, but I'm going to go into it deeper because I'm curious now. But I do know the ice cream song he's referring to. If you read that and look at the history of that, you would not respond to an ice cream truck the way that you normally do.
I will look that up later.
The good thing is we didn't have any money, so we didn't run to it.
Because when I researched the ice cream truck, I was like, okay, because it's a popular song, so I was like, let me see. I was so disgusted. I was like, hey, this is sickening. This is really sickening.
Yeah. Well, that's why, we try to educate here. We have history, bringing people like Dorian on the broadcast, and Cliff's been in studio as well. So thank you, Cliff. We got about 2 minutes. We're going to give them to Dorian. Thank you, Cliff. Appreciate it. And hopefully look forward to you coming over with us. Like I said, we're going to try to broadcast. Pastor Wall just told us how we can do it. We'll do it live on Facebook, and we'll broadcast live from there.
All right. We'll definitely.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right.
Dorian, we got about 2 minutes. We want to give it to you and let you close us out.
Do your thing.
Well, I just want to tell everybody to just keep looking at this history, learn this history, and celebrate it every year because I want people to know from Boston to Western Massachusetts, we celebrated this.
Right. So we've got a final request from some folks. They said for those latecomers who just tuned in can you recap what picnic means to them? Dr. Bell, I think you had the explanation. What does picnic mean? What is it?
It was a word for the, in particularly in the southern part of the country where they did a lot of lynching, where the white folks will actually pick a N-word to lynch while they bring the food and gather and watch and witness the lynching. So it comes from that origin. That's my understanding of it.
Wow.
That is correct.
Wow. And then we learned, I mean, with ice cream, it's not much you can say that probably back then that wasn't offensive, that had some negative connotation. I'm sorry. So, Dorian, go ahead. You've got a minute to.
No, and if I could add one more thing to that, because it wasn't just a matter of lynching.
Yeah.
They would actually burn a human being, and then after their body cooled down, white people would cut off a piece of their body as a remembrance.
Yeah, and mail it, take pictures and use those pictures as postcards and mail it through the U.S. Postal Service to their friends to show what happened. And it was really brutal.
Wow.
It was brutal.
Wow. Dorian, because we're going to talk about the 54th. I don't know what your time is. Maybe you have a few minutes because we're going to go into our break. If you want to hold on.
I just want you to know that I am a descendant.
Okay. So can you hold? Do you have a few minutes to hold on? We're going to take our break. And
I sure do.
Okay, and it's going to be a few minutes, and we're going to top of the hour, and we're going to continue this for a few more minutes at the top of the hour. There's a lot of interest in it, and I don't want to cut it off when folks are really interested in it. So you've been listening to At the Round Table with Mamleo. We're going to take our break, and we'll be right back.
Possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle. So if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya, No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog.
I wrote 300 songs in 1 year, Boogie will tell you I'm on it. I got unreleased songs for days, they don't want it. Eat any MC in the game, it ain't a challenge. If your music reflects who you are, then you's a coward. I can see through the lies, you ain't living what you spitting. If your money's so long, why your dog's in prison? Why your baby mom's stripping, why your mom's still living in that same broken home that you used to sell piffin'. You ain't gotta lie to me to sell me a track. You ain't gotta rock fake jewels or walk around strap. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst, and the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks.
This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer, cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard.
Hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle
So if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya, no, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for